You guys, it's Jen315 back again with a long awaited video. I apologize sincerely and deeply for my lack of posting videos. I know it's been like 3 weeks, but it's not even lack of content. I always have something to talk about. Anybody who knows me knows I'm always like have a topic to talk about. Like, come on, how can you run out of things to talk about when we're discussing the Lord, right? But it's just a lack of management, which is what this video will be touching on. So I will just jump right into it. So lately, as of lately, for the past couple of months, I suppose, I've been listening to motivational speeches to speakers like Les Brown and Lisa Nichols. That is my lady. I love her. It's so much so to the point where I'm like actually thinking about going to like one of their conferences, or seeking personal mentorships and things like that. But the whole point is I used to just mainly listen to like preaching sermons and stuff, and then I like open myself up to listening to like all forms of knowledge and wisdom cautiously. Not I'm not gonna listen to just any old Joe Schmo that claims to have knowledge, but cautiously listening to other forms of knowledge and wisdom that can even come from the world, as long as it's applicable to me. So some of the messages I listen to, sometimes they're really passionate about their message of try harder, do better, grinding, hustling, whatever you want to call it, being hungry. Sometimes they do get so passionate to where they start swearing, and I'm just like, they're dropping F-bombs and S-bombs, and I'm just like, okay, you guys, I know you're passionate, but do you really need to do whatever the F that is? Like, you don't really have to do that. But point is, it's been helping me to a point where one message in particular, I can't remember the man's name, but he was speaking to probably some young male athletes, I don't know, but he was talking about every night before he goes to bed, he makes a schedule for the next day, and every morning when he wakes up, he makes another schedule for the day. And then another message was talking about plan your day, have a schedule for the day. And obviously we can plan as much as we want. We all know the day is not going to go down to the T as we planned it, which is okay. And sometimes it's best that way because we can misplan. But he was saying, don't stress if things aren't exactly as you planned it. Allow and make room for changes. As Dr. Miles Monroe pointed out, like the destination is still the same, but the routes may change. So don't get frustrated and fed up because you get a detour and you have to take another route. Who cares? You're still going to the same destination. It may take longer. You may actually get there faster, but as long as you're still getting to your set location, that's the whole thing. So sometimes in the past I would feel, really down on myself. I'd feel like, as many of us may have felt, like I'm not moving, I'm not doing anything, I'm not going anywhere. I just feeling really slothful, unproductive, and I was like, I'm busy doing the wrong things. I'm busy. I'm like, literally, I'm doing this, that, and the third. I'm moving here, there, everywhere. But it's like, okay, what are you doing with all your busyness? Like, you're doing like 1,000,001 things that's not actually getting you closer to your purpose, when if you just take a little bit of time each day actually doing those effective and efficient things that's actually going to get you to your purpose, that's way more profitable and more productive than 1,000,000 things going in the opposite direction. And so I had to so basically the other day, probably like on the 28th, I think, I took out my notebook, because I do have notebooks. And I do have, not a lot of planners, but I do have, basically things to write on to plan. So I took out my notebook the other day and I made my schedule for the day. Surprisingly, I woke up and I had that schedule in mind, and I was actually looking forward to achieving it. And I did like pretty much almost everything on there, except one thing. And if you saw me pause just now, it's because mentally I just remembered something I have to do that I need to go hurry up and do on the computer. I gotta register for class online so I could get a discount for early discount. But and if you're wondering what class I am taking, I am enrolled in Faith Bible Institute. It is taught by Pastor John T. Yates. Well, I'll do a separate video on that because I'm really passionate about Faith Bible Institute, and it's just a really great course for spiritual growth and development and maturity and awesomeness, and I love it. And like, it just helped me get really bold and mature in my faith. And so, speaking of boldness, alongside planning and stuff, I was just speaking with a minister not too long ago. That is whose house I'm in right now. So shout out to the Kellys. Love you guys. And so, anywho, I was talking to him about, my motivational speeches that I've been listening to, and I listened to a lady called Marissa Peer, and she talked about how she had her daughter, and she tells other people, her patients, to do this right on their mirror, and post these things around their house, on their walls, and it's a simple little 3-word saying, I am enough. And of course it seems cheesy, lame, and I'm like, I'm not insecure. I don't need to write that on the mirror. But I did, and it does help every day alongside my affirmations, where I do my I ams. I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wise, profitable, I'm amazing, I'm great, I'm awesome. And then right up in the corner of my bathroom mirror, I see the words I'm enough. And so then I throw that in there. I'm wise enough, I'm young enough, I'm smart enough, I'm talented enough, I'm strong enough, I'm old enough, I'm mature enough, I'm healthy enough, I'm financially stable enough, whatever the case may be. So alongside, having the knowledge, we want to put it into practice. We want it to be effective. So alongside knowing what to do, you have to actually do it. And so I always will tell people, I would be frustrated with myself because it's like I knew better, but I wasn't doing better. And it wasn't so much lack of determination, because I had the motivation, had the determination, but it's like, what's the problem? Why aren't you doing anything? And so it boiled down to lack of planning and lack of, discipline. So I needed to plan, discipline, and manage my plan and schedule. So once I started doing that, I started seeing a change, and it's only been a few days, but I'm talking about this growth and this health, and it's improvement, and I'm really happy. And so I look forward, because I told you guys in my one of my other videos that I was gonna start doing, planning and get planners and show you guys my schedules. So I don't have it with me, but the next time I will show you my actual planner and how I'm planning, and I'm getting better and doing better, and I'm paying bills. And some people cringe when they hear the word bills, and I love it. I love paying bills. My credit score went up. I wasn't even checking it for the past couple of months. I got linked up with some credit repair company, and my credit score went up, so I'm really happy and grateful about that. And I did have some overdue school bills, but I'm paying that currently, so that will be fully paid off by this weekend. And so but I get really happy when I'm being responsible, because all I really want to be is a responsible adult. And just the other day I had to tell myself, when I was I like to look in the mirror and tell myself positive things, and so when I was in the mirror, I was telling myself, going on my roll, all my affirmations, and then I was like, I am a woman. And to some of you that may seem weird, obviously I would hope so, you're not a male, but I was saying it in the sense I always saw myself as a little girl, as a young girl, and that was beneficial for my upcoming, I suppose. It kept me from doing premature womanly things, whatever. But so I'd be like, don't call me a woman or anything. I'm not a woman. I'm a young lady. That's why I would tell people when they'd be like, oh, you're a woman. And I'd be like, no, I'm a young lady. I'm 24. And so I'd be like, until I get my own house, my own car, until I got bills in my name and I'm paying all this stuff, don't call me a woman. That's how I felt. I need to have my own house. I need to be not living with my parents. I need to have my own car and my bills. And then I could be a full-grown woman. But and then I made a joke with my sister, my older sister that I'm closest to. I made a joke. I was like, when I get my first bill in the mail from having my own home, I'm gonna take a picture of it and I'm send it to you guys. I'm gonna say I'm grown. But I had to get this understanding, like, we don't need to wait for external changes for an internal change. And that's like the key thing. Like, I want you guys to remember that you do not need to wait for external changes for internal change. Meaning, I don't need to wait to get my own house and my own car and have my own bills in my own name not paying off for me to be a grown woman. And it's a new idea and concept that I'm having to adjust to, but I am adjusting to it. Like, I had to, like, I was laughing and cringing. I'm like, I'm a woman. But like, I have to tell myself that, because people will tell me, they're like, you're a woman, and I'm like, oh no, stop saying that, you know, because it felt weird. And especially like when I be out and about all dolled up, you know, hair, makeup did and stuff, and then guys would hit on me and I'm like, ew, you know, I'm like, why are they trying to talk to me? Because I always had this little girl mentality. And so I have to get used to the idea, like, I'm 24, I am a woman. And so I have to, the whole point of me saying all this is, you have to not so much trick yourself, but you have to tell yourself things even if you don't believe it. You have to tell yourself things with a smile, and you have to look yourself in the mirror and smile and say whatever it is that you need to hear, that your subconscious mind needs to download, that you don't feel necessarily is true in that moment. You need to say that repeatedly, repetitively, daily, weekly, until your mind starts connecting the dots and drawing the conclusion, like, okay, they're saying this, but I feel this way, but I'm hearing this. And eventually your mind is going to start acting in the way that you're speaking. You know, like, if you continuously tell yourself, I'm smart, but you're still getting F's on tests and stuff, and then your mind is going to be like, well, something's not adding up, you know. Eventually, you're going to start operating like a smart person. You're going to start doing things that smart people do. You're going to start waking up earlier. You're going to start studying more and longer, and you're going to actually possibly start studying the actual right material. And you're going to go, you know, to those quiet libraries where you can get in those extra hours of studying, and you're going to ask the teachers more questions. You're going to take notes in class, you know. You're going to make it a point to remember what you went over that day in class, you know. And you're going to go in on test day knowing, I got this, I'm smart, I already have my A. I just arrived to receive my A grade. So eventually your mind begins to shift and calls you to operate in what you're telling it. So if you continuously tell yourself you're dumb and stupid, that's what you're going to produce, what you're saying. So that's also the whole principle of reaping and sowing. You know, you get what you put out. So if you put in, like for me with singing, I started singing last year. I joined our church choir. And, you know, at first I started singing because I love the Lord. And then, you know, me, I'm just really passionate about it. So whatever I do, I want to do it wholeheartedly and not half-hearted. So I started, you know, I started going online to look at vocal lessons. And I'm subscribed to Eric Arsenal. And so I use his vocal techniques and stuff. And I wouldn't do it every day. So I would tell myself, okay, I had to tell myself this after I quote-unquote auditioned for a solo, and I bombed it, and I was so embarrassed, you guys, and I'm still recovering from it. Like, I'm over it, but like sometimes like little things will remind me of that terrible moment where I bombed that solo, and it was so embarrassing. But the point is, I had to tell myself, you know, to help me get over that embarrassing moment, I had to tell myself, if you put in 1 day worth of practice, 1 day out of an entire week, if that's the only time you practice, you're gonna sing like 1 day. You're gonna sing like 24 hours worth of practice. But if you rehearse an hour a day, then you're going to sing like an hour a day. You know, if you just put in 30 minutes out of an entire week of singing, then that's how you're gonna sing. But if I put in 7 hours out of a full week, then I will sing like 7 hours out of a full week of practice. That's how I'm going to sound. And I kept telling myself, it's been an entire year. If I had been practicing every day, an hour every day for an entire year of my singing career, I would sound amazing and great. Like, I do have a beautiful voice. Sometimes I just psych myself out, and I just had to get used to my voice. I'd be like, I don't sound like everybody. Yeah, because there's only one me. There's only one Medina. There's only one you. There's nobody who can sing your song like you. There's nobody who can do your dance like you. There's nobody who can write like you. There's nobody who can talk like you, encourage like you, inspire like you. There's nobody who can, put together plans like you, manage like you, schedule like you. There's nobody who can cook like you. The people's whose house I'm at right now, they're cooking. I'm about to leave soon. They got like turkey and stuff, and like peas and all this stuff, and some cornbread. Obviously, I'm at some black folks' house, right? Okay, anyways, so point being, the whole point of me saying all of this is get serious. And above all this, like I'm chasing after what I want, my own home, my own car, I'm just trying to get my family at home. I'm just doing all this stuff and still trying to maintain my relationship with God. And the whole point of me saying all this is, I was thinking the other day, like, how I, exercise my body. I need to exercise my mind. I need to exercise my spirit, because I can't leave God to try to focus on me and what I want. I need to, keep it holistic, keep Him first before everything, before anything that I do, keep Him first. And so I was like, I need to exercise my relationship with God. I need to do my daily devotions, meditations, prayer, like genuine prayer where I'm not talking as much as I'm listening, And I need to give myself, I like when Lisa Nichols introduced me to this concept. You have to allow yourself to fail. Like, abundant thinkers, abundant people give themselves an opportunity to fail. And she was like, you can jump and you can fly, or you can jump and fall and scrape your knee and be hurt, but you still get back up, or you can jump and fall, but you land on something soft. Either way, just jump, And so the point is, as I'm like pursuing things in life, I need to keep God first and pursue a genuine, tight relationship with Him. Like, that's when I feel lowest, is when I evaluate my relationship with God. And if I feel like it's not where I would like it to be, if I know, like, okay, you didn't really pray, you didn't really communicate with Him, you didn't really listen to Him for a duration that would make it like genuine, like if you just go in for those drive-by, drive-through prayers, like, hey, what's up, Lord? It's me, I got these needs, when you gonna meet them, I don't really like asking Him for stuff. I like to pray for other people, and then I'll be like, Lord, you already know my situations and stuff, so I do pray for myself, but I really go to, like, be in His presence and to fall in love with Him and just renew my relationship with Him and stuff. So I was just like thinking about the other video I did a while back when I was talking about how God sees us with prayer. How one day I was anxious to talk to my sister, but I hadn't prayed yet. And I was like, you're more anxious to talk to your sister than you are to talk with God. And this is like a privilege. Like, this is the King of Kings. Like, you're coming into the presence of royalty. You better run up in there, up in your prayer closet. So the whole point of me saying all this is, we need to be more hungry and thirsty for a more intensified relationship with God now. Separate video coming soon. You have to be careful what you ask for, because a lot of people be like, oh Lord, I want more. I want a double portion of your Holy Spirit. I want more of you. Well, you have to remember, more of him will equal more sufferings, problems, and complications. Because Jesus said you gotta be willing to take up your cross, and you gotta be willing to take up your cross daily. If you're not willing, he's like, he who try to save his life will lose it. You have to understand. If they crucified the good tree, what you think they're gonna do to you? If Jesus, who was perfect and blameless, suffered and died in this life, what you think you're going to do when you try to live for him, being his disciple, proclaiming Jesus is Lord? So you talking about you want a double portion of his spirit. Like I always remember, he asked John and his brother James when his mama was like, when their mother was like, let my son sit on your right hand and on your left in your kingdom. He was like, you don't know what you're asking for. And he asked them, can you drink of the cup of my suffering? And they was like, oh yeah, we can. They was put to the test. Like, James was the first apostle to die, okay? And John, he went through it, okay? The man was boiled alive, okay? Exiled unto the island of Patmos. I mean, you gotta be willing to go through it. But even in midst of your sufferings, God will still give you that great revelation. And that is what we got, the book of Revelation, in midst of John's exile. And I love that book. It is where I got all my boldness when I first started studying the Bible. So, point is, we have to exercise our spirit as well as our mind and our bodies. And just make a relationship with him. But that's pretty much all I got. I'm going to end it here. So the key things is to grow your relationship with the Lord, daily affirmations, scheduling, and planning. And thanks, you guys. That's all I have for you all. Love you all. And I'm actually recording this on October 31st. So everybody be safe, blessed, and prosperous.